Are you ready to journey into the depths of time, to a place where knowledge was boundless, and its mysteries could be deadly? Picture a city on the Mediterranean coast, where a great lighthouse was built to guide sailors, and another, even greater, was erected to illuminate the very path of human thought. Welcome to the Great Library of Alexandria. This was not merely a building housing papyrus scrolls. It was the greatest treasury of knowledge the ancient world had ever seen, a place of towering intellect and, perhaps, terrifying secrets. And its story is a haunting detective tale of fire, conspiracy, and a disappearance that echoes through the ages. Our story begins in the 3rd century BC, under the ambitious vision of Ptolemy I, a successor to Alexander the Great. His dream was as grand as it was audacious: to collect, under one single roof, all the knowledge of the entire world. Every book, every scroll, every poem, and every scientific treatise. Imagine the staggering scale, from the epic verses of Homer to the intricate formulas of Babylonian astronomers, from the groundbreaking medical texts of Hippocrates to the esoteric secrets of alchemists and mystics. The library was designed to be the intellectual cortex of the planet, a universal brain. It attracted the greatest minds: Euclid, who systematized geometry within its walls; Archimedes, whose mechanical wonders were conceived here; and Eratosthenes, who calculated the Earth's circumference with stunning accuracy. This was the ancient world's version of the Internet, a vast, tangible network of human thought. But such a monumental ambition required ruthless methods. The Ptolemies waged a relentless, state-sanctioned hunt for knowledge. Every ship docking in Alexandria's bustling harbor was boarded and searched. If scrolls were found, they were immediately confiscated. Scribes would then work tirelessly to create copies. But in a telling act of intellectual avarice, the original, often priceless, scrolls were kept for the library's collection, while the copies were returned to the bewildered owners. This was a knowledge dictatorship, justified by a pursuit of ultimate enlightenment. By some accounts, the library amassed over 500,000 scrolls. But what profound, perhaps dangerous, truths were contained within those papyrus reeds? This is precisely where documented history begins to blur and the real mysteries ignite. The official historical narrative points to a series of devastating fires. The most famous culprit is Julius Caesar in 48 BC, during his civil war against Pompey. Besieged in Alexandria, Caesar ordered his fleet set ablaze, and the inferno allegedly leaped from the harbor to ravage the city, consuming part of the library's priceless collection. But could a single fire, no matter how fierce, truly annihilate an institution of such scale and importance? The story feels almost too convenient, a tidy explanation for a catastrophic and inexplicable loss. This has fueled persistent theories that the core of the library's most revolutionary knowledge was secretly evacuated or hidden in subterranean vaults long before the famous flames, that what burned was merely a shadow of its former glory. Let us now venture into the realm of conspiracy and tantalizing speculation. What if the library contained knowledge so advanced, so paradigm-shattering, that it threatened the very foundations of power and belief? Imagine manuscripts that described a heliocentric solar system a millennium and a half before Copernicus. Texts that detailed the principles of steam power, electricity, or even rudimentary chemistry. What if it held accurate maps of the world, including the lost continents of Atlantis or Lemuria, or accounts of ancient civilizations whose technology rivaled our own? Is it possible that our entire scientific and historical trajectory is not a linear progression, but a cyclical rediscovery of what was already known and then lost in Alexandria? This leads to the most chilling question of all: who would have wanted such knowledge erased? The suspects are numerous and powerful. A rising religious orthodoxy that saw these pagan sciences and philosophies as a direct threat to its dogma. Rival political empires, like Rome, seeking to cement their own cultural dominance by destroying the intellectual heart of the Hellenistic world? Or perhaps the Ptolemies themselves, who, analyzing these facts and theories, we confront a profound philosophical dilemma. The Library of Alexandria is more than an architectural or historical loss. It is the ultimate symbol of the fragility of knowledge. Its story is a stark reminder that human progress is not an inevitable, upward trajectory. It is a fragile thread, vulnerable to the flames of war, the erosion of time, and the calculated censorship of those in power. Every era has its own arsonists of Alexandria, forces that seek to control, simplify, or erase inconvenient truths for the sake of dogma, control, or stability. So, what was truly lost in the smoke and ash? We lost more than just books and scrolls. We may have lost an entire potential future for our civilization. A path not taken. The burning of the library might have set human progress back by 1,000 years or more, forcing us to slowly and painfully relearn what was once known. The dark ages that followed the classical era stand as a somber testament to how quickly light can be extinguished. But this story leaves us not only with a sense of profound loss, but also with a critical warning and a solemn duty. The warning is clear. The centralization of knowledge is a perilous endeavor. When all of humanity's eggs are placed in one basket, that basket becomes the ultimate target. And the duty? It is our responsibility to preserve, multiply, and, most importantly, protect knowledge in our modern, digital Alexandria. We must guard against our own modern fires, be they censorship, data degradation, or the slow death of critical thinking. Every scroll that turned to ash in Alexandria was a burned bridge to a possible future. The haunting question that remains is not just what was on those scrolls, but who we might have become had they survived. The ghost of the Great Library challenges us to ensure that such a loss never, ever happens again. So, what does the ghost of the Great Library of Alexandria teach us today? It is not a story of passive mourning, but an active warning. It screams that knowledge is not a permanent possession. It is a fragile flame that must be vigilantly guarded, constantly fed, and freely shared. In our digital age, we have built a new Alexandria, a global network of information. But we face our own modern fires, digital decay, censorship, information overload that obscures truth, and the slow erosion of critical thinking. The lesson is clear. We must become the guardians they failed to be. We must decentralize knowledge, back it up, protect it from both deliberate destruction and benign neglect. The burning of a library is not just the loss of the past. It is the arson of a future not yet born. The story of Alexandria is a permanent scar on the memory of our species, reminding us that the price of enlightenment is eternal vigilance. The silence that followed its fall is a sound we must never, ever forget.